I found out my husband wanted me to abort our daughter because she wasn't perfect enough for his family's standards. Yeah, let that sink in. Let me take you back to where this nightmare started. My name's Sarah, I'm 34, and up until 8 months ago, I thought I had the picture-perfect life. Successful marketing career, beautiful home in the suburbs, and a husband I'd been with for 6 years, married for 3. My husband, David, came from what I'll politely call old money. His family owned a pharmaceutical company, the kind where they have portraits of dead relatives in the hallway, and everyone went to Yale. I, on the other hand, grew up solidly middle class. My dad was a teacher, my mum a nurse. I worked my way through state school with scholarships and student loans. Should have been my first red flag, honestly. But when you're in love, you ignore things. You tell yourself it doesn't matter. That love conquers all. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. David's mother, Patricia, and yes, she insisted I call her Patricia, never Mum or even Patty, had opinions about everything I did. My career was cute, but not really necessary since David made enough. My wedding dress choice was interesting, which in Patricia speak meant tacky. When I suggested we buy our own house instead of living in their guest house, I was being ungrateful. But sure, Patricia, I'm the problem. His sister Caroline was somehow worse. She had 2 kids, both conceived through IVF with genetic screening. She'd casually mention at family dinners how they'd optimized their embryos, how modern medicine allowed them to make smart choices. I'd smile and nod, thinking she was just eccentric. I had no idea I was watching a preview of my own horror show. David and I had been trying for a baby for 2 years. 2 years of negative tests, of watching everyone around me get pregnant like it was nothing, of Patricia making pointed comments about continuing the family line. When I finally saw those 2 pink lines, I cried for an hour straight. Happy tears, the best kind. David was thrilled. We went to his parents' house that same day to tell them. I remember Patricia actually hugged me the first time she'd ever done that. She said we'd need to find the best doctors and that money was no object for her grandchild. At the time, I thought she was being supportive. How naive was I? The problem started at our 12-week appointment. David insisted his family's preferred obstetrician handle everything. Dr. Morrison had delivered Caroline's kids, apparently. I wasn't thrilled about giving up the OB I'd already been seeing, but I told myself it was fine. Pick your battles, right? Dr. Morrison was clinical. Everything was about testing, screening, measurements. She kept emphasizing that at your age, we needed to be extra vigilant. I was 34, not ancient, but she made me feel like I was attempting pregnancy at 60. She recommended we do an early anatomy scan at 16 weeks, plus genetic testing, NIPT, amniocentesis, the works. David agreed immediately. I hesitated because amniocentesis carries a small miscarriage risk, but he said, "We need to know everything's perfect, Sarah. It's important to my family, to our family." That word, perfect, should have paid attention to that word. I agreed to the NIPT. It was just a blood test, non-invasive. The results came back 2 weeks later. I was at work when David called. "We need to talk. Tonight, it's about the baby." My stomach dropped to my feet. "Is something wrong? Is the baby okay?" "Just, we'll talk tonight." He hung up. Ladies, you know that feeling when your whole world tilts sideways. When you know something bad is coming but you can't prepare because you don't know what it is yet. I couldn't focus on anything. I left work early, drove home with my hands shaking on the steering wheel. David was already there when I got home. So was Patricia and Caroline and Dr. Morrison, an ambush in my own living room. What's going on? I looked around at their serious faces. Is the baby sick? Just tell me. Dr. Morrison spoke first, all clinical detachment. The genetic screening came back. Your daughter... Daughter? I interrupted. We're having a girl? Nobody smiled. That's when I knew this wasn't a celebration. Your daughter, Dr. Morrison continued, has a genetic marker for a cleft palate. There are also some indicators suggesting she may have a learning disability, likely dyslexia, and her projected height based on genetic markers suggests she'll be shorter than average, approximately 5'2". I stared at her. Okay, but she's healthy? Her heart, brain, all the important things? She's viable, Dr. Morrison said, like my daughter was a business proposition. But David and his family wanted to discuss your options. Options? Patricia leaned forward, her perfectly manicured hands folded. Sarah dear, we understand this is difficult, but you're still early enough that termination is possible. You can try again, do IVF with genetic screening like Caroline did. Make sure the next one is perfect, I finished, my voice shaking. Are you seriously suggesting I abort my baby because she might have a cleft palate and dyslexia? She'd be different, Caroline said, like she was being reasonable. She wouldn't fit in at the schools we attend, the social circles. Children can be cruel to those with facial deformities. It's a cleft palate. It's fixable with surgery. But why take the risk? Patricia's voice was ice. Why burden a child with unnecessary challenges when you could start over and do this right? I looked at David, my husband, the man I'd vowed to spend my life with. Tell them this is insane. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Sarah, he said quietly, maybe we should consider. Consider what? I stood up, backing away from all of them. Consider killing our daughter because she's not going to be tall enough, because she might need reading help. Don't be dramatic, Patricia said. It's a medical procedure. You're attaching emotion to a collection of cells. She's not cells. She's my daughter. She has a heartbeat. She kicks me when I eat spicy food. She's real. David finally looked at me. I need you to really think about this, about our family, about the life we can provide for a child who has every advantage versus one who what? Who's less than perfect? Who doesn't meet your family's eugenics standards? Yes, I said it, because that's what it was. Dr. Morrison tried to hand me pamphlets, information about compassionate termination. I knocked them out of her hand. Get out, I said. All of you, get out of my house. Sarah, be reasonable, David started. Get out. Get out of my house right now. They left, David included. He went to his parents' house. I locked the door behind them, slid down to the floor, and sobbed with my hands on my belly. I'm sorry, I whispered to my daughter. I'm so sorry. Mommy's going to protect you, I promise. That night, I called my mum, told her everything. She was on a plane the next morning. She lives in Ohio, flew all the way to Connecticut to be with me. When I picked her up at the airport and fell apart in her arms, she said something I'll never forget. That baby is a blessing exactly as she is, and anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve to be in her life. My mum stayed with me for a week. During that time, David came by twice. Both times he tried to convince me to think practically. He brought articles about the challenges of raising children with learning disabilities. He talked about costs, about quality of life, about how we could try again and have a healthy baby. Like my daughter wasn't healthy, like she was defective merchandise we could return. The second time, I told him I wanted a divorce. You're being irrational, he said. Hormonal. Let's talk about this after... After what? After I do what you want? After I abort our daughter to make your mother happy? It's not about my mother. Bullshit! I threw a pillow at him. Very mature, I know, but I was done. This is exactly about your mother and your sister and your whole toxic family, and the fact that you're willing to throw away your own child because she doesn't meet their standards. I don't even know who you are. He left. I didn't see him again for 3 weeks. I hired a lawyer, a shark of a woman named Diane who'd handled divorces for 3 of my colleagues. When I told her the situation, she actually had to pause and collect herself. In my 20 years of practice, she said, I've seen a lot, but this, Sarah, we're going to destroy him. And we did. See, here's something David didn't think about. All those conversations about aborting our baby because she wasn't perfect. I'd recorded them. Connecticut is a one-party consent state. Every time he came over to convince me, my phone was recording. Every text message he sent about making the right choice or thinking about our family's legacy, I had them all. Diane was brilliant. She filed for divorce citing irreconcilable differences, but she also filed for sole custody with supervised visitation based on David's eugenic-based discrimination against the unborn child and stated desire to terminate the pregnancy for non-medical reasons. The recordings went into the court file. The story leaked. I don't know how. Diane swears it wasn't her, and I believe her, but suddenly it was everywhere. Local news picked it up first. Pharmaceutical heir pressures wife to abort baby over genetic imperfections. Then it went national. David's family company lost 3 major contracts in 2 weeks. Patricia resigned from the boards of 2 charities. Caroline's social media went from influencer perfect to disabled comments only after thousands of people called her out. And David became the poster child for everything wrong with wealthy elitism. The divorce was finalized 4 months ago. I got the house, the one David had bought with his trust fund, ironically. I got full custody. David gets supervised visitation, which he's used exactly twice since our daughter was born. Oh, did I not mention? Meet Emma Rose. She's 3 months old now. She was born with a cleft lip and palate, just like the tests predicted. She had her first surgery at 10 weeks old. She'll need more as she grows, but her surgeon says she'll be absolutely fine. And you know what? She's perfect. Not despite her cleft lip, just perfect, period. She has my eyes and the cutest little button nose. She smiles with her whole face. She's strong and healthy and so loved. My mum moved in with us to help. My dad visits every weekend. My friends, my real friends, not the society wives I'd been trying to impress for years, threw me the most beautiful baby shower. One of them even started a meal train that lasted for 6 weeks after Emma was born. I went back to work part-time. My company was incredible. They let me work from home 3 days a week and bring Emma to the office on the other 2. Turns out, when you're not trying to fit into someone else's perfect picture, you can build a life that actually works for you. David sent a letter last month, not to me, to his lawyer, to forward to my lawyer, to give to me, because apparently he can't even communicate like a human being anymore. It was an apology, sort of. A lot of I was under pressure and I wasn't thinking clearly, and I hope we can co-print effectively. I haven't responded. Maybe I will someday, for Emma's sake, but right now I'm focusing on my daughter and the beautiful, imperfect, real life we're building. Here's what I learned. Trust your gut, ladies, always. When every instinct in your body is screaming that something is wrong, listen. I'd had doubts about David's family for years, but I'd pushed them down, told myself I was being judgmental or insecure. I wasn't. I was right. And here's the other thing. Your worth and your child's worth is not determined by other people's standards. Not your in-laws, not society's, not anyone's. Emma is perfect because she's mine, because she's here, because she's exactly who she's supposed to be. To anyone out there dealing with family pressure, with people telling you who you should be or what your life should look like, you have permission to walk away. You have permission to protect yourself and your children from toxic people, even if they're family. Especially if they're family. Patricia sends gifts occasionally, designer baby clothes that Emma will never wear, trust fund statements I'll never access. I donate the clothes and I'll put the money toward Emma's college fund, but only because it's legally hers. We don't need the family that comes with it. Emma and I are doing just fine on our own. Better than fine, actually. We're happy. We're free. We're surrounded by people who love us exactly as we are. And to David, Patricia, Caroline, and everyone else who thought my daughter wasn't good enough. She's too good for you, so that's my story. If you're going through something similar, family pressure, toxic in-laws, partners who prioritize perfection over love, please know you're not alone. And you're strong enough to walk away. What would you have done in my situation? Let me know in the comments. And if you're the person who leaked that story to the press, thank you. You probably saved my life. To all the mums out there loving their beautiful, imperfect children, keep going. You're doing amazing. And to Emma, who'll probably watch this someday when she's older, Mummy fought for you from the moment I knew you existed, and I'd do it 1,000 times over. You are perfect, baby girl, exactly as you are.